Today I built the weirdest farms in hardcore Minecraft, ranging from a witch farm to a farm so bizarre you won't believe it actually works.
Starting off with the bowl farm. And as weird as it sounds, it took me a lot of time to figure it out. And for some reason, it requires turtles.
You see, oddly enough, when a turtle is struck by lightning, it drops a ball for some reason.
And now we just need to wait for lightning.
In the meantime, I'll start working on the next farm, which is going to be a cat farm. And I don't know why on earth someone would ever need this.
And this farm requires a lot of cobblestone. But not to worry, because I should have a lot of leftover from my previous video.
Alright, this should be enough. Now let's start building the farm. I started off by building the 13 by 13 platforms where the cats are gonna spawn. After building 4 of the platforms, the farm was almost fully complete. Now for the most annoying part, we have to transport all of these villagers. So I made a railway track which goes all the way up to the farm, and one by one transported all the villagers. Now to see if it actually works, I AFK'd at the farm for 10 minutes. And this was the result. Alright, I see some cats over there. Before I start making the next farm, I want to remind you about subscribing. It's completely free and it helps me out.
The next farm on our list is a gift farm. And how this works is when you sleep beside a cat in Minecraft, there's a 70% chance it can drop one of these items,
ranging from the least rare to the most rare. Now let's see if it actually works. It didn't work on the first try, but on the second try it did. Moving on, now we're gonna make a squid farm, which is actually pretty useful. I started off by building the outline of the farm, and this farm requires a lot of glass, so I decided to dig up this entire desert. And after turning all of the sand into glass, I started making the farm. Now the farm itself is fully complete, but we need to drain this entire river. This will take much longer than you may think. And if you guys don't already know, you can easily drain water with sponges. And this is not gonna be enough. So in order to get more, we have to raid this ocean monument.
But first, let's get some invisibility potions.
And also some milk. And now that I have everything I need, let's go. And as always, I started by killing the Elder Guardians. Next up, we have to find the sponge room. Now that we have found the sponge room, we have to collect it all. Afterwards, I dried out the sponge because it was all wet. And now we can start draining the river. I started by making small trenches around the farm and slowly got the water out with the help of sponges. The reason why we're doing this is because when the river is completely gone, the squids will have no place to spawn except in the farm. And this will make its rates go even higher. And with that being said, I'm almost 70% complete. Only just a few minutes left. Alright, this took so longer than it should have had. But here's how it works. When the squids spawn in one of these water streams, they fall to their death. And if they don't, the magma blocks will finish them off. And the profit comes down here. But I'm pretty sure I will never use this farm. With that being said, the next farm can only be built in the nether and in a specific biome. But before we actually start building it, first we're gonna collect the materials. Alright, so the first material on our list are wither roses. And if you guys don't know how to get wither roses, basically when the wither kills any passive mob, it drops wither roses. And to get them in my hardcore world, I dug a hole under the end island and spawned a lot of chickens. And I mean a lot. When that was done, I finally spawned the wither. And then I said goodbye to the chickens and collected the wither roses. And in memory of those chickens, I made this graveyard. Rest in peace. You will be remembered. Next up, we also need a lot of rails for this farm. So I decided to make this rail duplicator, which will get me all the rails I need. Finally, I got all the remaining materials. With that being said, we can start working on the ghast farm. And this farm can only be built in a soul sand valley on the nether roof. I started off by making the collection system, which consists of a cobblestone layer. And we are gonna place rails here so the hopper minecarts can collect the mob drops. And for the actual farm, I made a cobblestone platform with wither roses which will kill the ghast, and finally covered the whole platform with torches. And with the same method, I also made a second layer of the farm. Now to see if it actually works, we have to AFK at the farm for at least 15 minutes.
At first there were no ghasts to be seen, but after a while some of them started spawning, which means the ghast farm is working. And now for the last farm of the entire video. This farm is so overpowered that it can provide us with 8 different items. But before we actually start building it, we have to find the correct biome.
That means we have to fly thousands of blocks away from my base.
And while I was flying, I found something interesting. I accidentally came across this naturally spawning pink sheep. Like, the chances of this spawning are so low. And if you guys don't know, the chances of a naturally spawning pink sheep are 0.16%. And instead of saving it in a museum, I did this.
Hey, at least we got pink wool.
But after a lot of flying, I finally found what I was looking for. Alright, finally I found a swamp biome. With that, we can start working on the farm. And if you haven't guessed it already, the farm we are building is going to be a witch farm. And the reason I was looking for a swamp biome is because witches only spawn in witch huts. With that being said, at the top of the farm, I built this water well and placed a boat so it spins forever, which will keep the redstone of the farm always active. Now, before we test out the farm to see if it actually works, I realized it was raining, so I went to the bowl farm. Now we just need to wait for the turtles to get struck by lightning. While we wait, I just want to remind you that this video took a lot of time to make, considering that I had to collect materials for all the farms, which I didn't show in this video. And with that, the wait is finally over. Finally! Yes, the farm is working. Now that we have an infinite supply of balls, which I will never need, let's AFK at the witch farm. And while I was AFKing at the witch farm, I started recording with the replay mod. This mod basically lets you record what's happening in the background. And as you can see, witches were spawning. And after AFKing for 15 minutes, this was the result. Oh my god, that's a lot of stuff. And with the last farm of the video fully complete, out of all the farms in this video, my personal favorite was the ghast farm. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. And also comment your most favorite farm.